Hey everyone, how you doing? So today I want to go through a bit of the good, the bad, and the ugly of season 2. Now, before we get into the actual main topic for today, I have a question for you. Do you ever get this sort of screen like the one I have behind me? If so, how often would you say you get this screen, and do you play on PC or console? Personally, I play on PC. I get this sort of screen pretty frequently. Actually, one thing I'll show you in case you haven't seen this type of thing. First of all, I see Sissoko's image isn't there. It's one of the many visual bugs. Actually, when we pull it up, you can see another visual bug. And what else do we have? Oh, well, this is a fun one. When you go to Playstyles, I'm willing to bet that you won't see the Playstyles. Correct. Okay. So with this screen, for some weird reason, the Playstyles tab is always like this. No idea why. Just curious. Let me know. That's not the main part of the video though. So let's go to objectives. And actually, before we get to objectives, we're going to talk about this. Let's start with the good. The good is fairly straightforward. Why not cover that first? Start with some positivity around here. So I've got another screen pulled up behind me now. Something EA did, which is very in touch with the community. It's very rare for them to be like this. They increased the rewards for the 15 point slash 5 win division rivals rewards. If you're curious, you can see them behind me listed on a Twitter account. Now, I don't know if there were any changes in Division 5 or lower, but at the very least, Division 4 and up have been buffed. I would say that's a win. That's good. Also, they kept the rewards the same for the 45 point mark, but they reduced the requirement from 45 points down to 35 points. So you're essentially saving yourself, 3 to 4 wins, which could take you, close to double that in games, maybe, depending on your skill level compared to your opposition. But chances are, once you get to these higher levels, you're generally playing people who are about the same skill as you. So the games do take longer when you're at the level you should be. With that being said, and that's genuinely good. The problem is, for every one good thing EA does, there does seem to be many not so good things. So let's just cover them briefly for the rest of this one. Okay. Now, speaking of visual bugs, I don't care about visual bugs, by the way. I really don't care that much about them. I'm just, when I'm deciding what to highlight here, I would love to have tons of positive things to highlight daily in the game. But the truth is, EA as a company gives people sort of endless reasons to acknowledge sort of negative or sloppy or greedy things that they do. So what are you going to do, man? By the way, in the future, I will make more videos about using skill moves in game, things like this, specific skill moves, market related videos. For example, things like out of pack specials and which type of cards you should be looking to invest in that you can also use for your team. I still have this special Griezmann that's gone up like 30 to 40% since I bought the card 2 weeks ago or so. Actually, exactly 2 weeks ago from today. I bought the Inform Rafinha card, which has thankfully gone up like 20+% since a few days ago since buying the card. There's a little bit of good fortune involved in some of these things, but we'll talk about those kind of things in other videos. I don't want to get sidetracked here. My point is this. I am going to make more content around those things, but as long as EA keeps doing dumb shit, we're going to point that out on this channel. Plain and simple. If you enjoy that, stay around. Thanks for being here. If you don't enjoy it, It's cool. It's all good. Thankfully, it seems like 95% of you who are watching these videos, you enjoy having someone else call this kind of thing out. Now, seasonal track. Back to this screen. Also wondering, do you guys experience the same thing when you see some of the rewards, for example, in the game? They don't display properly. So you can see behind me here, you have 1x consumable, untradeable. This is probably the hunter or shadow, for example, that is in the seasonal track. It doesn't show on the screen. You can see I'm toggling between the two options, doesn't display. That's pretty much for everything here in this track. Except for the outright packs, which for some reason are perfectly fine. Is there any logical explanation for this? Not really. But my point in going to the seasonal track is to highlight the fact that when they released this track, when they made it public, for some reason, they were displaying Malen and Jack Grealish and Martinez, the goalkeeper, as only timed loans, when in reality, the levels 25 and 34 of these player items were in fact permanent player items that are not on any form of loan, which is good. That's how it should be. But at this point in the video, I want to have a mini discussion because, look, I don't really think you care about visuals. I don't care about visuals. I really don't. I couldn't really care less about visual bugs if they don't really affect your experience for the most part, actually playing the game. You're on the pitch virtually, you're playing against an opponent, you're playing the game. If that were ideal, I don't care about visual bugs, right? Remember, I feel like there are about 5 or so crucial, fundamental issues with this game that make it, basically put it in the state that it's in. Visual bugs like this aren't even close to an issue compared to those things, right? But I feel compelled to mention that this is a company that generates billions and billions of dollars per year in gross revenue. This is a company that, if I'm not mistaken, profits about 10 to 20% per year on that gross revenue. 10 to 20%. Now, if you want to investigate further, you can correct me if I'm off a bit. But let's just say, for simple numbers, EA as a company profits, we're talking about clearing 10% minimum on, let's just say, I'm going to say about $10 billion in gross revenue. It might be more, it might be less. Don't quote me on that. Maybe we can investigate that in the future. I don't remember the exact gross revenue right now. But let's say it's like $10 billion. That means they are, someone or some people in the company, right, are clearing $1 billion per year. Okay. Now, what you could do is say, hey, you know what? If they have an issue like this, first of all, they should be paying for quality control, right? If you have a set of employees in the company that are responsible for releasing something like whether a card should be a loan card or not in a season pass, right? Let's say it's a team of, I don't know, 10 people or 2 people. I don't know. They should report to someone, right? They should have some sort of proof of the fact that whatever they're about to release will look proper. Think of it like this. Even a small company, medium, large company, doesn't matter the size of the company. Let's say you want to make edits to your website as a company. Guess what? You can see on the back end the visual effect of any change you make before you make the changes to that website public. It's very easy in today's day and age to have quality control checks. First of all, whatever programs they're running should be enough of a sort of control. But on top of that, they have human beings working at this company, right? You could have managers confirm that things work properly. How do things on a daily basis for a company that makes this much profit? How do things go wrong basically every day? I know there's some small percentage of the community that likes to defend EA. Do I agree with them? Not at all. Do I think they suffer from some form of Stockholm syndrome? Yes, I do. I do believe so. Some sort of video game version of Stockholm syndrome. Again, do I care about the fact that visuals are all broken? No, I don't give a shit, right? I just want to play the game. I want to compete with someone else, right? Let's go back to the screen. So we've covered hopefully the good being mainly the changes to the division rivals reward system. Honestly, perfect change. Buff 5-win rewards. Keep the 15 win rewards the same, but lower the requirement down to essentially 12 wins. Perfect. Couldn't be better. Right? Some people might say, oh, they should have brought the requirement down to 10 wins for the upgraded rewards. To that, I say, you're probably right. But 12 wins is a big difference. And also, what they're probably doing is leaving a bit of room for a future season if they felt compelled to make further changes. They don't want to make too big of a change and then start reverting in this sort of thing, right? So as far as that goes, totally respectable. All right, cool. The bad, obviously, is that the entire season is looking broken visually, and there are mistakes and creates a lot of confusion with people. Not ideal for a company that's clearing, an immense amount of money per year and per day. And we should also finish by talking about the ugly, I suppose. And that would be this. So we're going to go back to the screen and we're going to go to this tab. So thankfully, I didn't experience any of this personally. I don't know what percentage of users are experiencing these issues, but some people didn't receive their rewards, which is kind of crazy. Again, is it a big deal if you don't get your rewards or in the first 24 to 48 hours after you've earned them? Is it a big deal? You could argue it's not a big deal. But this game, right? EA has made this game operate all around getting rewards. And this type of thing should just never happen. It's so easy for them just to ship the rewards that people are supposed to get. Like, it's not complicated. And this is why I'm pointing this out, is because these things should never be an issue. Or if they're an issue once or twice, they shouldn't be an issue for the 700th time. Like, these kinds of things seem to happen consistently. And a company that's profiting an immense amount of money could invest a very small percentage of that profit, but they're so greedy, right, that they can't find a way to do that. They are compelled to squeeze out every ounce of profit from this, game that they can. That's what they're doing. Right? Imagine if from just profit, not gross revenue. I'm not talking about percentage of gross revenue. I'm talking about percentage of bottom line profit. If they gave even 1% of that towards resolving these sorts of issues and making them a thing of the past, I actually am willing to bet that the vast majority of these sorts of issues would be easily addressed. But they just can't bring themselves to do that. It's crazy. It's crazy. When I say something like they've kind of hoard out the community, right? They've kind of hoard out the player base. This is what I'm talking about. They don't care about reinvesting in the community or the user experience whatsoever. It's not even remotely a priority for this company. Now, let's talk about the ugly, I guess. So people weren't receiving the Rivals rewards. Now I did, so I don't know what factors go into play as to why someone would or wouldn't get the rewards as they're supposed to. We already touched on lone players in the season showing incorrectly. Now this is another funny one. So Evo Lounge was removed so that people can't finish EVOs, which, by the way, I think the main one was a paid evolution. So you could either pay it in fiat currency or coins. Either way, you're paying something relatively substantial as far as the game is concerned, for this EVO. And whoever was still in the process of completing the EVO, they figured, okay, they have like another 10 days or something like that to complete this EVO, so no big deal. I'm going to keep casually getting it done, right? A lot of people would be in that position. I myself was not in the position, so I'm not pointing this out for my own sake or anything. I'm just pointing it out, right? Because I didn't even do the evolution that is in question here. I believe it might be the one called Great Guti. Could be wrong, though. So those people are wondering, will I be able to complete the EVO? What happens if it expires? You know, you're just adding unnecessary stress to people who are playing this game. They're just trying to enjoy themselves, right? They're playing a game to enjoy themselves ultimately. And EA is like constantly creating these issues for people. Okay, packs glitched in the season and not working. I'm not exactly sure what that relates to, but we'll take their word for it. I'm sure these are all true. I guess the Keen SBC came out later in the day, later than it was supposed to, but okay, we'll save that for another day. EA doesn't really know how to deal with like time changes. Time changed recently in certain parts of the world, and EA can't seem to calibrate. I mean, everyone else calibrates instantly, but EA can't seem to calibrate. It's I don't know. And this is a very interesting one. This is kind of crazy. And I don't even think that I don't know how they're supposed to fix this. It's like way more effort to fix this than to just prevent the issue in the first place. But people were winning rivals games and going backwards in their rank or their progress in division rivals. I can't even begin to imagine like what you have to implement behind the scenes for this to randomly start happening, because this was not happening this year until now. So how it's I don't know. Anyways, that's pretty much it though. I know this was a longer video, very casual sort of discussion here. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you're taking care of yourself. That's pretty much where we're going to leave this one. I do want to make other types of videos, and I do fully intend to do that. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate you very much. Any comments you have, I also deeply appreciate that too. And I really enjoy communicating with everyone in the comments. Yeah, I've got ideas in mind for future videos. And again, I want to end by saying this. You know, I really mean this when I say it. I didn't make this channel with the sole intention of calling EA out on all their bullshit, right? I really didn't. I have other things in mind. It's just what I want to do here is sort of create a bit of a video log and directly address the issues as they come up. Because that's what they deserve. I mean, they don't deserve for these things to just constantly be sort of tucked under the rug and ignored in the future. They deserve as many people as possible acknowledging the huge amount of greed in their company, basically. Now, I have other fun things in mind in the future. I know I'm rambling here. I'm going to cut it here. I appreciate you. Have a good night. And I will talk to you in the next video. Peace.